and get right down to Phil LeBeau, who's with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy in an exclusive. Phil.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Secretary,
Easy,
good to
Phil.
have you here. What a backdrop, too.
Yeah, well, isn't that fantastic,
You can't
right?
beat this.
No.
We'll talk about this in a bit, but let me first start with, we're a couple of weeks removed from the crash at LaGuardia.
Yep.
And once again, it's highlighting air traffic controller staffing and staffing at all airports. You're making the big push. How close are you to making a real indent in that deficit of air traffic controllers?
So I'll say, too, it's number one, staffing, and the other part is technology. So in regard to staffing, we had the biggest year of hiring in 6 years with air traffic controllers. So we hired 2,400 new controllers in the last 12 months. We have more controllers for the first time since pre-pandemic. We have big classes coming through. Next week, we're going to announce a new class of air traffic controllers. We're thinking differently. We have a 30% washout rate. So how do we bring that rate down? Again, we want to have a washout rate, but 30% is too high. Getting the right young adults to get into the school is what we're thinking through right now. So that part is going well. We still have a deficit. I've also included those controllers who are eligible to retire. I'm offering them a 20% upfront cash bonus to not retire, to stay on the job. But when we look at LaGuardia, again, we had 2 controllers in the tower. But I'm looking at how do I update this system to make sure we have the best technology. So humans can always make errors. So how do I have great air traffic controllers and I back them up with great technology? I got $12.5 billion that I'm working on right now. In the next 2.5 years, we're going to spend that building out. We're going to have new telecom. We're going to have new radar, new voice switches. But the next part is we need new software to manage the system. Congress has to give me money for that.
Let me ask you about what's on top of mind for most people who are traveling right now.
Yeah.
Higher airfares because jet fuel prices have almost doubled since the beginning of the year. 2 questions here. One, should we be worried about the jet fuel supply, given the fact that there's not oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz as we usually see? And 2, what do you say to the people who are looking at these airfares and are saying, wait a second, I can't take my family to California this summer? It's ridiculous.
That's a good question. So thanks to President Trump, and American energy dominance, we have a ton of energy in the U.S. So we are less reliant on the Strait of Hormuz than we would have been, say, 25, 30 years ago because of fracking. I've talked to all the airline CEOs, and I've talked about their supply for jet fuel. They have a deep supply chain. They all feel really good about the supply, but it's a global market, right? So when global jet fuel prices go up, that affects us here in the U.S. And I think we have to think about it, this is short term, and the president thinks about this short term. And we do have a blip and an increase in prices. But in the long run, if we bring more stability to the supply of oil and gas globally, I think we're going to be better off as a country, but also as everyone purchases this great energy.
Because of these jet fuel prices and costs for the airlines, let's be honest. You've got 2 airlines that are the bulk of the profits, and the other airlines are all struggling. Nobody's going bankrupt, but there is growing chatter in the industry that perhaps one of the big 4 airlines gets even bigger and buys one of the smaller airlines.
Yeah.
That would have to meet with your approval. Would you like to see one of the larger airlines buy one of the smaller airlines?
Listen, that's going to come through us, but also President Trump, he loves to see big deals happen. He'd have to review that kind of a deal. It has to go through DOJ, and it'll come through DOT. I think who knows who's going to match up, right? There's always chatter, but is there room for some mergers in the aviation industry? Yeah, I think there is. But
even here in the United States?
Yeah, I think so. Now, there's a lot of chatter, and a lot of different people are talking, amongst themselves about what that should look like. I'm going to wait and see. Is there a deal that's brought to the table? How does it look? What impact does it have on competition? What is it going to do for the consumer and the pricing of the consumer? What does it do for us to be competitive globally? To make sure that we are, in America, have the biggest and the best airlines competing around the world.
But what if that means one of the airlines no longer has just 20%, and the big 4 are all around 20% market share? What if they go up to 30%, 35%? Would you be okay with that?
Well, again, we have to look at it at a case-by-case basis. And again, if there was a merger between some of the larger airlines, they're going to have to peel off some of their assets, right? We don't want to have, this massive infrastructure with one airline in America. Again, I think that will affect pricing in the long run because there'll be a lack of competition, which we love competition. So again, I'm not going to pre-commit to anything. I'll look at whatever comes across my desk. I know the president will look at that as well.